Hi guys, good morning. So today I just want to make a short video. It's actually for my sister Anna. I want to show her a easy bread you can make in one day. She said she has some extra semolina she bought by accident, so this is actually a Sicilian semolina bread. So while I'm making the video, I just want to show you a couple of the little things that I have that I find are important for baking. First of all, my Bosch mixer I love. You can't go wrong with the Bosch for making bread. For other things, fluffing up eggs and doing stuff like that, cookies, the KitchenAid is probably better. I don't know for sure because I don't do a lot of that. All I know is if you bake bread, the Bosch is the machine you need. Anyway, first of all, for me, it's important to be organized. So I try and have everything at the ready. I measure all my stuff and have it ready. So what we have now, I measured out the 330 grams of water. And to that, I mixed a teaspoon of barley malt syrup. I didn't measure the barley malt syrup. I just put a teaspoon in. It's not that important. I'm going to pour it in. I dissolved the barley malt syrup into the water. You can see all of it came out for all intents and purposes, which is good. So I think I'm going to turn it on to the spin. That's good. Now to that, I'm going to add my flour. In here, I have the 350 grams of semolina. On top of the semolina, we have 150 grams of all-purpose flour. So it's a 500 gram flour mixture. Really, if you want, this is a small enough recipe, you could do it by hand. I'm sure all of my friends from Canarsie remember their grandmas kneading bread on the kitchen table. It's not rocket science. Anyway, be that as it may, let's pour the flour into the water. Actually, I'm going to have to be back in a second. I'm going to put the camera down. All right, boys and girls, I poured all the flour into the bowl. Now I'm going to just give it a couple of these, because if you put it on one right away, the only thing you're going to do is blow all the flour out. So to that, first of all, I have a small scale here. This scale right here is for small amounts. It's accurate. It's sensitive up to 0.1 gram. That's pretty sensitive. The big one, the KD 1000, the capacity is 8,000 grams, and it's only sensitive to 1 gram. I mean, for baking, that's fine, but sometimes I get a little crazy. So anyway, we got our 7 grams of instant yeast. I'm going to pour it right in. You don't have to bloom instant yeast. It could go right into the dry flour even. And then on the other side, you don't want to pour the salt right onto the yeast. I'm going to pour it on this side. Usually I mix it in, so I'm doing it a little different today. But anyway, now I'm going to put it on one and homogenize everything. I'm just going to let that spin for a minute so you guys could hear me. My water, I do use tap water. I don't go crazy with using bottled water for baking. I use my New York tap water, which is fine, even though I hear tell that it's coming from someplace different these days. Be that as it may, I always have a couple of bottles in my cupboard of tap water. So it's at room temperature. I know from the pet shop, you let it sit, the chlorine dissipates, that's fine. Now, a couple other little things, and then I'm going to go, and later on we'll come back with the shaping. I like to have these cups for ingredients, not for measuring them, for holding them. I measure everything up front. This one's beautiful. This is a 1-cup measure. Anchor Hocking doesn't make this anymore. I got it free from the Freebie Club. Every neighborhood has a free club. So go on Facebook, look up Buy Nothing, and your club in your area will come up. You could give stuff away you don't want, clear out your garage, your closet, or you could get some good stuff. Just don't get addicted to taking stuff, just what you need. So these you could still get from Amazon, these Anchor Hocking cups. They're great for holding things. The little shot glass with the increments. It's all good. So now I'm going to let this go for about 5 minutes. It's going to get nice. I'm going to put it in the proofing container. You'll see that later. And then we'll shape the bread. See you later. Okay, hi guys, I'm back. So before I continue, I just want to say, if you like the video, please follow the channel. Believe me, I'll get better and better as I go. I got a camera holder. They're going to get a little more professional. But anyway, it's good information. So after 5 minutes, I took the dough out of the Bosch mixer. You could see it came out very clean. And this is not a very hard dough to work with. It's not very wet. It's only 66% hydration. So it's easy to work with. Now, let's talk about the bulk fermentation, your first rise. You know, everybody hears, and it's in most of the old-timey recipes, let it rise until it's double. We don't go to double, especially not with Italian or French breads. I put a little marker there. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, some of my friends in the bread club, they get pretty exact with this. they put it in a small container that's like the one I showed you, and they let a little bit rise so it's easier to see. Anyway, I took a rough measurement. You got 1 inch of dough. The bottom of the electrical tape is 1.5 inches. So I go a half instead of double. And then the bulk fermentation is done from there. And then we go on to shaping and proofing. That's how you get a remarkable oven spring. You'll see that later. All right, take care. All right, we're ready to shape the bread. Let's see if we can see this. So this was the first one that I pre-shaped. We're just going to close up this seam a little bit more. Just like that. Seam side down. I'm put a little oil on my hands. I'm not using flour to shape it because it's already a dry dough and we don't want to add more flour. First we do the middle. Okay? And then we slide out and make a snake. Now, if it seems like it's not rolling out, we're going to let it rest and come back to it. But it seems okay. I really need more room. I'd like to make this longer, but I don't have more room. So we're going to have to do what we can. Alright, that should be good. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Oops. Alright, so this one we're going to make into the eyes of St. Lucie. So we're going to turn them in opposite directions, just like this. Just like that. Beauty. I forgot to get a pan ready. So, it is what it is right now. Okay, we're going to leave that. Flip this over. The seam is good on this one. Same thing. Start in the middle. You don't want to press down too much. You never want to have your hands like pressing down like that. You want to cup them a little. Fingertips and palms on the counter. Stretching out pretty good. Not bad at all. I really don't like to do this on the silicone mat. I like to do it on wood. That's why it's getting a little messed up. But it'll still work. I don't have anything long enough to do it on wood. And then if I go off the edge, it screws it up. This, I could go off the edge of the silicone mat and still have a good outcome. I'm not going to make the snake today. I think we're going to make 2 eyes of St. Lucie. This is good, and it's pretty long too. So we're going to start. One goes that way, one goes that way, and we're going to bring them in. Bring them in. Bring them in. Nice. That's what I'm talking about. So now I'm going to transfer these to a baking pan, their final baking pan, and let them rise for about an hour. See you later. All right, so we're back. We have the oven preheated to 550 degrees. Look at that. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful. Could you see them? Yeah, you could see them. All right, so that's really good. So the oven's preheated to 550. About 20 minutes ago, I took a loaf pan with a towel, a hand towel, a bath hand towel. I put water in here. I made sure it was saturated with water. It went in the microwave until the water was boiling. From there, I put it in a loaf pan, a regular bread loaf pan, and put it in the oven. So it's been steaming for 20 minutes. Now, also inside the oven is my broiler pan that lives in the oven. I took the top section off. That part is in my sink, so when I have to take that scorching hot loaf pan out, it goes on the metal, not on the plastic grate. All right, so now all that's left to do, I'm going to spray these with some nice New York City water. Very nice. And I was supposed to mix some Anise Seed with the sesame, but today we're going to have plain sesame. And we're going to put some, generously put some Sesame Seed on top of here. Try and get some on the sides if I can. Very nice, very nice. Santa Lucia, she would be very proud. I occhi di Santa Lucia. Now you got to hear me speak Italian. That reminds me of my dad, may he rest in peace. Boy, when I tried to speak Maltese, I used to crack them up. Anyway, we're all done here. This is going to go in the oven, and I'll see you at the end game in 15 minutes. Okay, I'm back. We're here for the end game. So, these things came out really good. They came out really good. Look at the bottom. They're just about perfectly browned. I love the way they look. So now we're going to cut into it and see what the crumb looks like. Okay, I'm going to cut it straight in half. We got nice rolls for tonight once I cut them in half the other way for sausage and peppers. All right, let's open it up. Here we go. Oh, nice. Look at that crumb. Look at that beautiful semolina yellow color. That is just about perfect. All right, so we're done here. These look really good. I'm going to put these aside till later. And like I said, dinner tonight is sausage and pepper. They're not perfectly symmetrical, which is a good thing, because I'm going to cut it here, and I'll have the bigger side, and Doreen will have the smaller side. All right, so that's about it for today. I'm going to have to come up with some saying that I use every time at the end of the video. If you guys could think of anything I could use, put it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Okay, while we're here, let me clarify a couple of things. First of all, about the steaming. I told you that we put the loaf pan with the soap towel in 20 minutes before we put the bread in, so the oven's already getting steam. Now, I mentioned the broiler pan that lives in the oven. Once we put the tray with the bread in the oven, we put about 1.5 cups of boiling water in that broiler pan. Once that water hits the broiler pan, it blows out a huge burst of steam. Now I close the oven right away, and the bread bakes for 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, we purge the oven of all the steam. Open the oven door, take out the loaf pan, take out the broiler pan, and close the door and bake it for another 8 minutes. So these I baked at 550 for 8 minutes. Then I lowered the temperature to 475 and baked it for another 8 minutes. And that was it. Now, if you're going to try this method of steaming the bread, get a big bath towel, a heavy bath towel, and lay it on the glass of your oven door before you're moving anything or taking anything out of the oven that has water in it. The hot water hits that glass, you're going to bust the glass. I've done that a few times. Now I use the towel, and it's a lot better. All right, hasta la vista.